Rest here for a breath where the noise fades and stories come alive. These are not just words, they're whispers of truth, calling to those who seek meaning in the quiet. If you feel pulled to tales that stir the spirit, you're home. Subscribe to dive deeper. Now let the story awaken. A Tangled Web of Hearts. The city hums below Clara's office window, a symphony of headlights and hurried footsteps. She's still at her desk past 8, her laptop's glow casting shadows on her face. Another late night, another campaign to perfect. Her phone buzzes, Daniel's name lights up. Home soon? His text reads. She types maybe, then deletes it. No reply feels easier. Their marriage, once a haven, now feels like a house with too many locked doors. Clara's days blur between meetings and deadlines, her nights spent avoiding the silence that waits at home. Daniel's laughter, once her anchor, feels distant, like an echo she can't quite place. Across town, Daniel sips whiskey in a dimly lit bar, Mia across from him. Her dark hair falls over one shoulder as she leans in, her voice warm with nostalgia. Remember that summer road trip? She says, her eyes catching his. You were so free back then. Daniel smiles, but it's tinged with ache. Mia's presence is easy, her gaze a mirror reflecting a version of himself he misses. They talk late, their knees brushing under the table, a spark flickering in the space between words. He tells himself it's just friendship, but his heart races when she touches his arm. Sophie, Clara's best friend since college, sits in her apartment, staring at her phone. A text from Daniel glows. Missed you today. Her pulse quickens. Their affair started months ago, a stolen kiss after a group dinner. Then secret meetups in hotel rooms, their bodies tangled in sheets, guilt woven into every touch. Sophie loves Clara, but Daniel's attention fills a void she can't name. She types back, tomorrow, and hits send, her chest tight with thrill and shame. Clara, scrolling through her phone at a red light, sees Sophie's name pop up in a notification. A message meant for Daniel, not her. Can't stop thinking about last night. The words hit like a slap. Clara's breath catches, her mind racing. Sophie and Daniel? The betrayal cuts deeper than she expects, a knife twisting in her heart. She drives home, tears blurring the city lights, her hands shaking on the wheel. The life she thought she knew unravels with every mile. Daniel comes home to find Clara on the couch, her eyes red but fierce. Tell me it's not true, she says, her voice low, trembling. He freezes, the weight of his choices crashing down. Clara, he starts, but words fail him. Sophie's name hangs unspoken, a ghost in the room. Clara's laugh is bitter. My husband and my best friend. How did I miss this? The air crackles with pain, their love stretched thin by secrets. Mia, meanwhile, sits alone in her studio, sketching Daniel's face from memory. Her feelings for him, buried for years, have resurfaced, stirred by their late-night talks. She wonders if she's a fool for hoping, her heart caught in a quiet ache. The city outside her window feels vast, lonely, a mirror of her unspoken longing. The threads of their lives, Clara's heartbreak, Daniel's confusion, Sophie's guilt, Mia's yearning knot together, pulling tight. A friend's rooftop party looms tomorrow, where they'll all collide under the city's restless sky. What truths will spill? What bonds will break? The night holds its breath, waiting. If this story touched a hidden chord within you, Share it, it might be the spark someone needs. Subscribe for more Tailies where the everyday meets the eternal. And know this, it's often through our fractures that light pours in. The Rooftop Reckoning. The rooftop buzzes with laughter and clinking glasses, the city skyline glittering like a promise. Clara stands by the edge, a glass of wine in hand, her eyes scanning the crowd. She spots Daniel near the bar, his smile strained as he talks to a mutual friend. Sophie hasn't arrived yet, but Clara feels her presence like a storm cloud. The air is warm, but her skin prickles with anticipation, her heart a drumbeat of anger and hurt. She rehearses what she'll say, but the words feel jagged, too raw to hold. Daniel catches Clara's gaze and starts toward her, but Mia intercepts him, her hand light on his arm. "You okay?" she asks, her voice soft, searching. He nods, but his eyes flicker to Clara. Mia follows his look, her chest tightening. She's always been the friend, the confidant, never the one he chooses. Yet tonight, her heart dares to hope, even as she senses the tension radiating from Clara. "Go talk to her," Mia says, stepping back, her smile bittersweet. Sophie arrives, her dress catching the neon glow, her confidence a fragile mask. She sees Clara and hesitates, then squares her shoulders and approaches. "Clara, can we talk?" she says, her voice barely above the music. Clara's eyes narrow, her grip tightening on her glass. "Talk?" she snaps. "After you slept with my husband?" The words cut through the party's hum, heads turning. Sophie flinches but doesn't back down. "I'm sorry," she whispers, tears welling. "It was a mistake, but I love him too." Daniel, hearing the commotion, rushes over, his face pale. "Clara, please," he says, reaching for her. She pulls away, her voice rising. "You love her? What about us?" The rooftop feels like a stage, their pain laid bare. Sophie's voice breaks as she says, "I never meant to hurt you, Clara. It just happened." Clara laughs, sharp and hollow. "It doesn't just happen, Sophie. You chose this." The crowd parts, eyes darting between them, the air thick with unspoken judgments. Daniel steps between them, his hands raised like a peacemaker. "This is my fault," he says, his voice cracking. "I was lost, Clara. I didn't know how to reach you." His confession hangs heavy, a truth he's avoided too long. Clara's eyes glisten, but her jaw is set. "You didn't reach for me," she says. "You reached for her." Sophie, trembling, turns to leave, but Clara grabs her arm. "Don't run now," she says, her voice low, fierce. For a moment, it seems they might come to blows, the tension electric. Mia watches from a distance, her heart aching for all of them. She wants to comfort Daniel, to tell him she's there, but she stays silent, knowing this isn't her moment. The rooftop, with its glittering lights and pulsing music, feels like a crucible, burning away pretenses. Clara lets go of Sophie's arm, her shoulders sagging. "I can't do this," she says, more to herself than anyone else. She walks away, leaving Daniel and Sophie in the wake of her pain, the city sprawling below, indifferent. Their bonds, husband and wife, friend and confidant, lover and betrayer lie in tatters, exposed under the neon sky. But in this raw unraveling, there's a whisper of possibility, a chance to see clearly. What will they choose when the dust settles? If this story touched a hidden chord within you, share it. It might be the spark someone needs. Subscribe for more dailies where the everyday meets the eternal. And know this, it's often through our fractures that light pours in. Buddhist wisdom on love and letting go. The city's pulse softens as the story pauses, inviting a deeper breath. Imagine Clara, Daniel, and Sophie, each alone now, their hearts heavy with the weight of what's been broken. Their pain is ours to love tangled with possession, desire mistaken for devotion. In this quiet space, Buddhist wisdom offers a lantern, illuminating the roots of their suffering and a path toward peace. Love, we're told, is not about holding tightly but being fully present. Clara's need to control her marriage, to make it a fortress against loneliness, his attachment a chain that binds her to pain. Daniel's chase for fleeting thrills with Sophie, his escape from a fading spark, is also attachment, a grasping for something to fill his emptiness. Sophie, seeking validation in stolen moments, clings to a love that burns but doesn't warm. The Buddha's first noble truth whispers here. Suffering exists, woven into their tangled bonds. The second truth points to its cause attachment, the urge to possess what cannot be owned. The third truth offers hope. Freedom is possible. To love without possessing is to see the other as they are, not as we need them to be. Impermanence, a core Buddhist teaching, reminds us that all things shift: relationships, feelings, even pain. Clara's marriage, Daniel's desires, Sophie's guilt, they're not fixed, not eternal. Holding them lightly, like a bird resting in an open palm, allows love to breathe. The fourth truth lays out the path: mindfulness, compassion, and letting go. Picture Clara sitting by her window, the city quiet now. She feels the ache of betrayal, but notices it without clinging. She breathes, present to her pain, and in that presence finds a sliver of peace. Daniel, alone in his studio, sees how his choices stemmed from fear of losing himself, fear of facing Clara's distance. He vows to sit with his regrets, to meet them with kindness. Sophie, journaling in her apartment, writes an apology she may never send, forgiving herself for her mistakes, a first step toward healing. This wisdom isn't a quick fix, but a gentle unraveling. It asks us to release the need to control, to own, to demand. In letting go, we find love's truest form, not a cage, but a shared moment, fleeting and beautiful. As the story flows toward its close, these truths linger, a soft guide for Clara, Daniel, Sophie, and for us. 3 paths to peace. The city exhales as dawn creeps closer, its light softening like a lullaby. Clara, Daniel, and Sophie stand at their crossroads, each seeking a way forward through the wreckage of their hearts. From the Buddhist wisdom that lit their shadows, 3 paths emerge not as answers, but as invitations to heal, to love differently, to find peace. These are steps we can all take when love feels like a knot we can't untie. First, practice mindful presence. Be with the person before you, your partner, your friend, your lover, without demanding they complete you. Clara learns this slowly, sitting across from Daniel one evening, not to fix their marriage, but to listen, to see him anew. She notices his nervous hands, his quiet apologies, and lets the moment be enough. You can try this too. In your next conversation, set aside expectations. Hear their words, feel their presence, and let the need to control slip away. It's a small act, but it opens a door to freedom. Second, cultivate self-compassion. Forgive yourself for the ways you've stumbled as Sophie begins to do. She writes letters to herself, naming her guilt but also her humanity, cradling her mistakes with kindness. Daniel, too, faces his reflection, owning his betrayal without letting it define him. This path asks you to pause when self-blame rises. Place a hand on your heart, breathe, and whisper, "I'm doing my best." Self-compassion isn't excuse-making, it's the courage to grow from your flaws. Third, embrace impermanence. Accept that love, like all things, shifts and fades. Clara feels this as she walks away from the drama, not out of anger but to find herself. She lets go of the marriage she thought she needed, trusting that new beginnings wait. Daniel and Sophie, too, release their grip on what was, choosing honesty over illusion. Try this. When a relationship feels stuck, remind yourself it's not forever. Hold it lightly, like a leaf on a stream, and trust its flow. This acceptance frees you to love without fear. Clara now spends evenings alone, painting, rediscovering her own colors. Daniel sketches again, his art a quiet apology to himself. Sophie volunteers, finding purpose in giving without taking. Their paths diverge, but each carries a spark of peace, kindled by presence, compassion, and letting go. Love, they've learned, isn't possession. It's the courage to be fully here, then to set free. As the city sleeps, this story settles into your heart, a gentle reminder. You, too, can choose these paths. Rest now, knowing that even in your fractures, light finds a way. If this story touched a hidden chord within you, share it. It might be the spark someone needs. Subscribe for more tailies where the everyday meets the eternal. And know this. It's often through our fractures that light pours in. If this story touched a hidden chord within you, share it. It might be the spark someone needs. Subscribe for more tailies where the everyday meets the eternal. And know this. It's often through our fractures that light pours in.